Do you have no idea what you're doing with OBS? Do you think the audio in your streams could be a little bit better? Are there always people in your chat being like, hey, your audio is a little bit like quiet, and you're just like, I'm trying. Well, don't worry, because I got a little thing for you called I'm gonna learn you how to use OBS and VSTs and stuff. My name is Suprobro, also known as Eric Navarro, the voice actor. You can call me Supro or whatever. Today I'm going to go through a few things that'll hopefully get your audio quality while you're streaming just a little bit better. Let's get into it. The first thing you need to know is not about OBS. We're going to talk a little bit about mic placement. Now, my microphone is usually somewhere around 6 inches away from my face-mouth region. Sometimes it's more like a foot, sometimes I get in real close, stuff like that. But basically, the closer you are to your microphone, the less you have to project, and then the less noises will bounce off your hard walls and stuff and whatever, and you don't have to worry about sound treating your room. Although I will say, if you can, you should try to do that. But that's not what this is about right now. We're not looking to pay money for anything. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't want my microphone to be right in front of my face during my whole stream. Now, it's not as bad as you think, actually. My microphone is a little bit off to the side. I don't have it directly in front of me at all times and I have to talk directly into it. I have it a little bit off to the side and my microphone is tilted towards my mouth. I should also say, make sure you know which side of your microphone is actually the sensitive side. I don't know how many people have gotten a Blue Yeti and talked to the top of it. It is not an end address microphone. It never is. It never was. Anyway, try a couple different placements with your microphone, record yourself and see how they sound. It'll be a big difference, I guarantee it. Now the next thing you need to worry about is the gain. Now if you're using an XLR microphone like myself, you'll probably have an interface. And you can turn your gain up or down or whatever. I'm not gonna do that right now because I don't wanna mess up my gain. But in OBS, you can actually see a meter that shows your gain. Look at that thing. It goes up and down, all the way down here. Also, what's nice about OBS is it shows you all the decibels in increments of 5. And the thing you need to know is that your loudest should usually not be above -6 dB. You can see the -5 right there on the meter. But that gives you a little bit of room to be a little bit louder than what you might think, and it brings up the volume nice and loud so you can work with it. Now you might be thinking, oh, but Super Eric, I don't have an XLR and a little thing. Mine just plugs into the USB. What? UPS? Well, you don't need to worry too much about that, alright? If you look at the audio mixer, you can see the little blue bar there is totally maxed out. Can't do anything with that, what the heck? But if you press the little 3 dots and go to filters, you can actually add a gain filter. You can see I have this gain filter called +6, and the reason I do that, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. If you have a Focusrite interface, and in the settings, it's like stereo, 24-bit stereo, CD quality, whatever, it'll only show up in the left or the right channel, unless you're using like a solo, probably. I have a 2i2, so. Which actually brings me to another thing. If the meter here is only showing that one of the 2 bars up here are moving up and down, it means you're only getting a signal from one channel. You can actually go into the advanced audio properties, which is these little cogs over here, and then you can find your little microphone thing and then hit mono, which is this little checkbox over here. And now both meters should be going up and down, woo! But like I said, Focusrite is a little bit wonky, so when you do that, your gain will go down by 6 decibels. Tangent over. Before I get into the FX chain that'll make sure your audio sounds nice and loud, and everyone can hear your beautiful voice, you need to know about the VSTs we're using and how to download them. Now the ones we're using today are called TDR Nova and TDR Kotelnikov. I don't know, man, I tried my best. You can download both of these at tokyodon.net. I'll put the link down in the description below so you can download them right now. Now these both have an installer, so it'll automatically put the VST files in the right folders. But let me tell you what they are. Now if you go into your SSD or HDD, whatever storage you have, hard drive, solid state, whatever, go into there in your file explorer and then go to program files, not the 86 one, that's only for 32-bit stuff. There's a couple places where the VSTs can be. Now for me, they're in 2 different places for some reason. One of them is inside common files. I can find VST2 and VST3. Now in VST2, you install the DLL files, which you might need for some of these. For VST3, you install the .vst3 files. I just put them in there. Install is kind of a fancy word. But I actually also have VST2 and VST3 just in my program files folder. And so I have a lot of VSTs in there twice. So I don't know what to tell you. At least they work. Now let's stop wasting time and just get into the chain. Now welcome back everybody who's confident in OBS and knows how to use VSTs and install them and stuff. Here is my free VST chain. Now ignoring the +6 thing, I've got 5 things right here. We got noise suppression, TDR Nova, which is EQ, TDR that word, which is compression, the limiter that's built into OBS, and the gain that's built into OBS. The first main thing that I need to teach you about is compressors. Right here are the settings for the TDR Kotelnikov... I'm gonna walk you through all this so you know what's going on, at least as much as I do. Alright, this is like a mastering compressor. I don't know what all this stuff is. Now the main thing in every compressor, threshold, ratio, attack, and release. Now the threshold, you can see as I'm talking right here, you can see the audio going up, past the threshold. So whenever my voice goes past a certain volume, that is when the compressor kicks in. It starts working, and it works in tandem with the ratio. Now I have my ratio here set at 5:1, which means every 5 decibels above the threshold gets squished down to 1 decibel. So let's say my voice goes all the way up to -17, which probably does quite a few times. It'll turn down the volume to go to about -21. Remember, we're doing negative, so 17 is higher, 22 is lower. And that's generally the idea here. You can also see how many decibels are going down in this little reduction meter. It went down like 7 decibels. Cool. Now the next things I need to talk to you about are the attack and the release. Now this has a release peak and a release RMS, which I don't know what that's all about. I mean, technically I actually do, but don't worry about it too much. I'm not here to turn you into an audio engineer, I'm here to turn your audio good. Now the attack is set at 6 milliseconds, which means 6 milliseconds after I break the threshold, it'll attack, it'll compress, it'll go, which is pretty good for just compressing your voice so it's not all loud and quiet and random parts. The release tells the compressor when to stop compressing after I've gone below the threshold. There's also a couple other things here like peak crest, soft knee, God, this is stereo sensitivity, low frequency, makeup. Okay, makeup gain, actually, you can turn up the volume on this and it makes it so everything that's compressed gets brought back up again. But I don't really worry about that right now. Now that we've compressed our audio to a nice even level, we're gonna wanna put a limiter, just to make sure that we don't go above a certain volume. Cause I can't always trust myself to not yell and scream at people when they're just so handsome. Zhang Li. Anyway, after that compressor, I set the threshold to -10 decibels for the limiter. And you'll see that I set the gain at +9 decibels. The reason I put the limiter before the gain is so I can stop it from clipping at all, and then I can bring the volume up. And so, using rudimentary math, I can understand that the highest my voice can get is -1 decibel. So now we're nice and loud and pretty cool. Let's clean it up just a little bit with the TDR Nova EQ. Now here's the TDR Nova. I only have 2 things here, a high pass and a low pass. There's also all this other stuff that you could put on there, which doesn't matter, don't worry about it. I think the most important one here is actually the high pass filter. What the high pass filter does is turn down all the frequencies lower than what it's set at. And so any frequencies higher can pass through. Wow! I have it set about 90 Hertz. If you set it up any higher, it'll start, sounding like this, and that doesn't sound very good. And actually having a high pass filter like this can cut out some extraneous sort of sounds. If there's like a low fan going on or something like that. Another thing the high pass does is, if you get really close to your microphone, you don't have that proximity effect as much. And you might think that sounds cool, guys, men out there, okay? You might think
it'll sound cool if I am really bassy. All the girls will like it.
Stop it. It doesn't sound good. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt your feelings. It's just I don't like listening to that. Moving on to the low pass filter. It's the high pass filter, but in reverse. It lets frequencies lower than where it's set pass. So frequencies higher than where it's set gets turned down. Very much. Now I have it set at 18 kHz, also known as 18,000 Hz. we don't really hear higher than 18 kilohertz as humans, as adult humans especially. Plus our voices don't really go up that high, so if it's something showing up, it's probably like a ghost or like a bat, something like that. But I find that putting these two filters like this just kind of cleans up the audio just a touch. Also make sure to have a steep slope. You don't want your EQ looking like this. Look, it's a really big frowny. But this, it looks more stern. Now let's move on to the final part of this chain. I say the final part, but it's put first before anything else. Now OBS has a thing called noise suppression, which I tried out and it's pretty nifty. Now if you have an RTX card inside your machine, your Computron, you can actually use the NVIDIA noise removal stuff, which I think sounds the best for this sort of thing. You do need to download a little update from NVIDIA. I'll put a link down below so you can see where it is exactly. Now with the NVIDIA noise removal, it removes little extraneous sounds. Maybe some mouse clicks aren't as loud, maybe a fan in the background isn't as loud, stuff like that. It's pretty good. But listen, don't put up the suppression intensity too far. I feel it messes with it too much. And if you want to like whisper and stuff, like if you put it all the way up, like even past like 0.5, it's gonna cut out all your whispers and stuff. And it's like you're cutting out too much. This is my stream. Everybody's here to see me. So I would say around 0.2 to 0.3, somewhere around there is probably a good place to start. Hey, this is Future Edit Supro. I just wanted to say, although the NVIDIA noise suppression does work pretty well, it also made my GPU about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius hotter. So if you really need noise suppression and you have good cooling in your computer, by all means. Otherwise, I don't know if I would recommend it. That's it, bye. Another option you can use if you don't have an RTX card is the RN noise. Good quality, more CPU usage. Now I know you're thinking, I don't want to use too much CPU, but I don't want to see you using speaks. I don't want to see you using speaks. Look at me. Look at me. Don't use it. It is awful quality. It's not worth it. It's never worth it. I promise you. Unless you're streaming inside a laundromat, please don't use speaks. RN noise is pretty good though. It works alright. Personally for this setup, I think the NVIDIA noise removal at 0.2 for myself is pretty good. Now that I've gone through all this and you probably set this all up yourself, I want you to record yourself on OBS. Don't stream. Don't hit the stream button, hit the record button, and listen back to yourself. Maybe turn off some things and turn on some things, see how it builds up. Now after doing all this, you might find your noise floor to be a little bit louder than mine. Noise floor being the sound that your microphone picks up when you're not talking yourself or making noises or whatever. Now I myself with these settings have a noise floor of around 55, negative 55, to about 50-ish. Negative 50-ish, God. But let me tell you a little bit of something here. I always set my desktop audio, be that a game or whatever something I'm watching, I always tend to set that to peak at about negative 20. Now these are the filters I have for my desktop audio. It's just a limiter and gain. As you can see here, the limiter is at negative 19 and the gain is at 16. So if anything's randomly loud, it won't get above negative 3 decibels. Cool! So when you're talking normally and your voice is getting up into the red part, which is good by the way, it's really deceptive that it's red because that's a good volume. Your background audio will be around negative 20, so your voice will come through stronger, but your desktop audio will still be plenty loud. But, as I said before, just try it out. Play a game, start recording, and act like you're streaming like normal, and see how it sounds. Adjust it to your likings. The world is your oyster. That's pretty much it. Super easy, super good. But for those of you thinking, I don't want to download VSTs and stuff, first of all, shut up. Shut the heck up. Be quiet. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Second of all, I got you, babe. Now here's my effects chain if you don't have any other VSTs. The only difference here is that I'm using the inbuilt compressor. I've set it pretty similarly, but I turned the threshold down a little bit, turned the limiter up a little bit, and the gain as well. It's a little bit of a difference, but I think it sounds pretty comparable. But honestly, just take the time to download the VSTs and figure those out. It gives an overall cleaner product. Oh, who's this coming in?
Hey, Supro. I like my microphone really far away from my face. I don't want to put it next to my face.
Okay. I thought we'd been over this, but fine. I got you set for this one as well. Now this one is quite a bit different, and I'm actually gonna switch to it just to show you how it sounds. Alrighty then, now my microphone is about, I'd say, 2 feet away from my face. It's quite a big difference. Now if you see here, the TDR Nova is exactly the same. I just kept it the same. I could probably play around with it, make it sound a little bit better, but I ain't got time for that. Now the TDR Damn it. Now the compressor is a little bit different. And by a little bit, I mean only one thing has changed. I turned the threshold down a little bit. But that also means that I turned the limiter down a lot. Now it's at negative 15 decibels, and the gain is up 14. Now the total loudness is pretty comparable, but a big difference here actually is the noise suppression. I prefer the RN noise suppression to the NVIDIA one. Now I tried the NVIDIA noise removal and room echo removal, and that was kinda like, yeah, that works, it's better. But the RN noise one seems to work pretty well with this setup. I encourage you to try either or for yourself. Like I said, the world's your oyster or whatever. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully I can edit this video down to be pretty quick, cause I don't want to force people to watch a really long rambly ass video. And real quick for people who are just coming back to this and want to see the settings that I have for everything, here they are on screen now. Pause whenever they show up. And that's all. I'll see you next time. That time we'll have some fun with the VSTs and stuff. It'll be cool. Make sure to follow me on Twitch and stuff. And if you're a casting director, you should hire me. I know that's kind of a low chance, but hey, maybe there's some indie devs or animators or something that want to stream on Twitch. I don't know. Hit me up.